Allow me to introduce your glorious champions.
Okay, it has been a hot minute since I made a Marvel Tōkon video. Now that the roster has been revealed, I figured that we can look at the predictions we made and see how well we did. Obviously, since my list consists of 32 characters, we will have a lot of correct guesses just because we have a lot more characters. But I still think that I have made some good guesses. One of them being that the whole roster is 20 characters, and my initial roster for the base game was 24 characters. If you remember, the white slots were for the original games, and the yellow slots are for the DLC characters. My mistake was that I did not order DLC characters, so those would have not been my DLC picks. The above picture is the official art of the game with all the characters. I added the 4 DLC slots because I figured we can predict the DLC characters later on. And the below picture is the list I made several months ago when the game was first announced. I didn't feel like I needed to make updated prediction lists because the later revealed trailers included a lot of hints and there are some leaks, so I didn't want to make predictions when those existed. I wanted to compare the final list with my initial prediction to see how well I guessed from the get-go. Yeah, I felt pretty good about a few of the characters that I predicted correctly because I felt pretty strongly about them. For example, Magic and Black Panther being Shuri, and as well as Green Goblin and Loki. If you look at the characters from team to team, we have Storm, that's what initially revealed. We have Magic that I made a pretty good prediction about. And then we have Wolverine. For me, he's a no-brainer, especially since Tōkon is made by Sony and Arcsys, and Sony had a Wolverine game from Insomniac. He was bound to be in the base roster. But Danger is a deep cut. She's a weirdo. And I actually didn't remember her from the comics because she had a pretty different look back then. She's definitely one of the weird picks, and I would have preferred that some of the more famous X-Men or even the more obscure but fan favorite X-Men would have taken that slot. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe she'll turn out super fun and unique character. And then we had a Spider-Man team, which I feel like Miss Marvel and Spider-Man, it's a good fit for a team. And I will never have guessed that they will include Penny and that Star-Lord will be in the same team as Spider-Man and Miss Marvel. Star-Lord feels like such an odd pick for that team, but I guess not all the team needs to match perfectly. And the team don't really make sense if you look back to the history of previous Marvel content. For this team, I think Penny is a weird pick because we have so many more famous spider-related characters that we could have picked from. But I guess they wanted a big body weirdo. There are a list of big body weirdos from Marvel as well. They didn't need to pick Penny, but I think her fame showed up with Marvel Rivals, so picking her might not be so weird. I think the same goes for Magic. Her fame comes from Marvel Rivals also. Yeah, only Penny as a new character, Miss Marvel, Star-Lord, and Spider-Man were all initially revealed with the game. And after that, we have the Fighting Avengers. Also a pretty easy team to predict. Cap and Iron Man being in the same team. And for me, Hulk is more of a guaranteed pick over Thor. At least for Avengers team, so Hulk for me was a given. And Black Panther is definitely not the most common Avengers pick, but I figured that Black Panther character is so popular now that they can't ignore it. And I made the correct call that it would be Shuri over T'Challa. I'm pretty glad for guessing this team correctly. And as for the villain team, I'm pretty happy that Green Goblin made it in because so many people wanted Green Goblin to be in a fighting game for so long, and he's finally in a fighting game. I'm so excited to see how he will play. Magneto, I felt like he would be a given because he has such legacy from the old Marvel games. Even though they wanted to minimize characters that have been in old Marvel fighting games before, Magneto is kind of a character that you can't ignore. And lastly, Carnage. I picked Venom because he is so much more popular than Carnage as far as symbiotes goes. And granted, Carnage has gained a lot more popular in comics in recent years, but I still feel like Venom is the vastly more popular symbiote, and that's why I chose Venom. But I think I said in my prediction video that I would have picked other symbiotes if I thought they would get in, and I specifically said Carnage because I have wanted Carnage to be in a fighting game since like Marvel 2. But after seeing the trailer, it looks to me that Carnage will play similar to Venom and not a super unique new playstyle. But it remains to be seen. I would prefer Carnage to morph into different weapons and throwing more projectiles. But it looks like just a version of Venom, but red. And now finally they revealed the last team during EVO, and it's Ghost Rider's team. Everyone thought it would be the Midnight Suns, but Deadpool pulled the rug under our feet. It's the Samurai Outriders. So every other prediction video I saw predicted Blade. Blade is also a character that had been requested for ages to be in a fighting game, but never made it in. I find it so strange that Blade had never made it into a fighting game. So that was, to me, it was also a given. But I certainly had my doubts when it was just the last team left to reveal. I'm very happy that Loki is on the team because he's one of the characters I felt very strongly about wanting to be included in this game over other spellcasters such as Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, even though I think she will also fit really nicely into the game. I thought Loki would be in the villain team and not in Ghost Rider's team, but after giving it some thought, I think it fits because Loki have morphed from a villain into more of an anti-hero character, so it's okay that he's not on the villain team. And then we have Deadpool. I remember vividly saying that Deadpool is an overrated character, and I still think he is, but the way they revealed him is so cool. Every frame of animation almost is a reference to something in the FGC or previous fighting games. I really enjoyed his reveal, and I hope he will be a very fun character to play. So now that we have looked at all the characters that have been revealed and looked at our previous predictions, we still have 4 DLC characters left, and I think that it will be fun to try to predict them. We have a lot of characters that were in my old prediction video that is not in the game. I think I definitely had too many X-Men. But there's still a few characters that I feel pretty strongly about that I want to be in the game. I just don't know if they have a chance to be in the game. For example, I feel like Daredevil definitely needs to be in the game. He's also one of those characters that many people have been wanting to have in a fighting game for a very, very long time, but he just haven't been in one. The same goes for Nightcrawler. But even though I really want Nightcrawler to be in the game, I don't think that he has a chance right now. I also think Cyclops is an important character just because of the legacy of the old Capcom fighting games. But I think if it's only that, then he will not be in this game. I think it depends on how much Marvel wants to push X-Men for Doomsday and how much Arcsys want to have Cyclops in the game. But he's definitely one of the characters I want to have in the game. Thor, I think, is an easy DLC character because he's very popular and he's not in the game. As easy as that, right? But I think it's a boring pick, mostly because I don't think he's very cool, but a lot of people really, really like Thor. So I think that would be a nice pick for DLC. And I also think Hawkeye might be an easy pick for DLC. I think both Kate Bishop and Clint can be Hawkeye. They're both liked. And we have, of course, Venom. Also a super, super liked character. But with Carnage in the picture, I don't know if we'll get Venom. Because I think Carnage plays very similar to Marvel Venom. At least judging from the trailer. so they will need to change Venom to play in a different way. As for the ladies, I think Scarlet Witch is still a super interesting character to include, but I don't know if she will be included now. Loki is also a magic user, and the Scarlet Witch arc in the MCU is kind of over. So I don't know if he will make it, at least for the first year of DLC. I don't think so. Unless arcsys really want that character. I really like Mystique as a character and I really want her to be included in a fighting game. Even if they are making a push for X-Men, I don't think she's one of the characters that they are pushing right now. Even though I really want her to be in the game, I don't think so. I think Invisible Woman have a good chance because she's both popular in Rivals and she is really important character for Doomsday. I think all the other Fantastic Four characters' powers are represented in the game. Only hers aren't. If they choose a character from Fantastic Four, Invisible Woman would make the most sense to me. Okay, let's look at the releases of Marvel things from the game's release and 1 year ahead to try to see if something makes sense for cross-promotion. Of course, we have the new Spider-Man movie that released at the end of July. That's 1 week before the game's release. The trailers we have seen right now for the new Spider-Man movie, I don't think they will include anyone from that movie into the game. One, because it releases before the game, so it doesn't make sense to have any cross-promotion from that. But also, they are just a bunch of lesser Spider-Man villains, Hulk and the Punisher, and Hulk is already in the game. I don't get the feeling that the Punisher is going to be in the game either. So let's look ahead. We have Avengers Doomsday. There are entirely too many characters here to consider. Most of them aren't relevant for the game. Yeah, the ones I consider from the movie that might make it into the game are Thor, Invisible Woman, Shang-Chi, and one of the X-Men. And there I'm leaning to Cyclops. But it's very hard. I'm not confident in that guess at all. There are too many characters. Too hard to guess. And as for TV, we have X-Men 97 Season 2. It starts July 1st already, but the last 2 episodes will air after the game releases. This arc is focused on Apocalypse, which I think will make a very cool villain, but unfortunately having only 2 episodes after the game releases, it's not worth considering for any cross-promotion. So let's look ahead a bit more. We have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2. It doesn't have a release date. I didn't even know about the series' existence before I did some research. I don't know if this will have any influence in what character will be included. I don't think there will be any cross-promotion between this and Marvel Tōkon. But it does have fewer characters that would be interesting, such as Venom and Daredevil. We don't only have movies and TV shows, we also have a video game that will release really soon, Marvel's Wolverine. And considering both Marvel Tōkon and Marvel's Wolverine are funded by Sony, I think cross-promotion between these 2 games are pretty likely. Wolverine comes out roughly a month after Tōkon releases, so that's a pretty good time for the first DLC character to drop. And looking at the characters that are going to be in the Wolverine game, we have Jean Grey, Mystique, Omega Red, Sabretooth, Leech, Ogun, and Sentinels. I am a huge Omega Red fan, so I want to see an arcsystemworks version of Omega Red. That would be so cool. But Omega Red is kind of an obscure character in today's media landscape. Not many people know who he is. So I'm afraid that it's not very likely that we'll get Omega Red, and that would be sad. I think Sabretooth and Wolverine have a nice rivalry, but they might play too similar to be the first DLC character. And like I said, I don't think they're pushing for Mystique. I just don't for some reason, even though she's my second pick here after Omega Red. And Leech and Ogun are just minor mutants, they are out of the picture. So for me, the ones that makes the most sense out of this list is either Jean Grey or Sentinels. I think both would be very cool to include as DLC. I mean, I'm leaning towards Sentinels because of Marvel vs. Capcom, but I think Jean Grey would make a pretty darn good character as well. And she technically hasn't been in a fighting game as Jean Grey. She was in Marvel 3 as Phoenix. So I think either Jean Grey or Sentinel makes sense as a DLC character. And in 2027 we have Spider-Man Beyond Spider-Verse, slated for June 25th release date, but I don't know how much I believe that. This movie has been pushed back so many times already. It was originally going to come out in 2024. I don't know if I'm willing to believe that this movie will get released in June next year, especially considering that we haven't gotten any information about it. No trailer, nothing. But if it would come out in June, I could see the last character being one of the Spider People. And the most popular will be Miles, right? Then there again, my man, Spider-Man 2099, Miguel. I like him the best. But he got no chance against Miles. Even Gwen, who is also very popular, has no shot against Miles. So if you get a character from the Spider-Verse movie as cross-promotion, it will be Miles. So yeah, what do I think would be the most likely to include as DLC characters? I think the first slot is very likely to be from the Wolverine game. It's a really hard decision to pick between Jean and Sentinel, but I think I'm leaning Jean. I think that's what Arcsys would want to pick over Sentinel. That's just a feeling I have. I don't have any logical answer to why they will pick Jean over Sentinel. But I think I'm going to add Jean as the first DLC character. There. Okay, so if I think DLC character 1 is considered to be autumn this year, and the second character might be winter, and third spring 2027, and the fourth will be summer 2027. If character 2 is winter 2026, that will be in line with Doomsday or cross promotion. Who would I pick from? We can't have another mutant. That's too many. We can't have 2 mutants in one DLC pack. I think I'm leading Invisible Woman. I just have the hunch that she will be one of the most important characters in Doomsday. I think Thor is more popular than Invisible Woman, and even Shang-Chi would be really cool to have. But I think I'm leaning towards Invisible Woman. So let's add her to DLC character number 2. Like so. Alright. For DLC character 3 would be spring 2027. And we don't have anything early 2027 for Marvel release. So this might just be a character that artists want to make. It's hard to guess who that might be. Let's do DLC character 4 first. I think it's much easier to pick because I think it will be related to Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse if that movie is on schedule this time. And if that is the case and you want to cross-promote with that movie, the easiest character to include would be Miles Morales. So I think DLC character 4 would be Miles. Initially in my prediction video, I brought up the issue with the names of the Spider People. Like Miles' hero name is Spider-Man, and Peter's hero name is also Spider-Man. So what would you call Miles? And all that kind of worms. But then Arcsys included Penny Parker and just named the character Penny Parker. So obviously they don't care about that. So if you want to include Miles, I'm sure that he will just be named Miles in game. So yeah, let's add Miles Morales to the game. There. Okay. So now let's go back to DLC character number 3 and try to figure out who will Arcsys pick as a character that they want to make. Obviously there won't be a mutant. It won't be anyone from Fantastic Four other than Invisible Woman, and it won't be another spider person. So I want to rule those out. I also don't think it will be a female, because we have 2 already, and another male will balance it out pretty nicely. And since we have 4 heroes, maybe a male character that is slightly evil. Maybe not full-on evil, but anti-hero can also be a pick. Just looking through some characters. Okay, so I've had a few candidates that would be cool. Daredevil again, I think it will be really cool. It's a little tiny bit Spider-Man adjacent because they appear a lot in each other's comics. We also have Shang-Chi, will be really cool. And Ant-Man will be really cool. Oh, and obviously Moon Knight will be also really cool. None of them are evil or a villain, but maybe it's just a DLC pack with heroes. Thor will also be a pick. But I think Thor is such a popular character that if you have Jean and Miles already, you don't want to put another super popular character just so that you can spread them out to sell more DLC packs. Alright, I need to make a decision. I don't want to sit here and think for forever. I was just going to pick Daredevil because that's the one I like the most out of the characters I looked at. So yeah, let's do Daredevil for DLC character number 3. So yeah, there we have it. We have our DLC characters predicted. I don't know how accurate it will be. Look at the releases for the previous prediction video and none of that mattered really. It's just a fun thing to do, to try to limit selection of characters down. I don't think I'm correct about the DLC characters at all. But yeah, we looked at our previous predictions and compared it to the announced characters, the full roster. I'm happy about the characters I got right. And I'm happy about the initial roster size. I guess 24, it was 20, it's up by 4. And now we have made a prediction for the DLC characters, so we can make yet another video when those gets announced. So yeah, it's not long now before the game is released. We have an open beta to look forward to. Like I said before, I'm not good at these kind of games, but I'm looking forward to watching some high-level play at tournaments. So until next time, bye!
Everyone, get ready! You're gonna feel this. Rest in peace. All out attack! The power of Jotunheim! Hell is coming for you.
Don't forget to like, comment, favorite.